Let's revisit the kitchen. When last we left the kitchen, it looked like this, but it can't look that way for long. We need some countertops, we need some knobs. Let's see what we can do. Your favorite 6 and 8 foot counters are not available. You end up with this 10 feet tucked in the back of a 5.5 foot truck bed. Great. And I got those gigantic countertops unloaded today. Whew, that's some work getting those in. The plumbers are removing the old pipes, so it is time for us to start getting that cabinet installed and test fitting the new countertops. You can see I got right to work, cut down the first one, and popped it into the corner to see how it would look. I like the color combination. Big day in any job? Appliance day. Unfortunately, it's early. Like, I expected that we would have time to, at least have the floor in the kitchen by now, but of course, we don't. And the appliances are here. Now, we took advantage of a sale. If you're gonna buy appliances, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Black Friday, these are the times to buy them because we outfitted the whole house for about $3,600. That's pretty good for 5 appliances, including this crazy all-in-one unit washer dryer, which weighs an enormous amount, probably more than both of those put together. The guys were struggling to bring it in, said this thing is incredibly heavy. So it's a pretty cool thing, but we'll have to figure out how to get it across the floor without scratching things later to get it in the closet. This is gauging the fit of the little dishwasher, and lo and behold, it fits perfectly with just like a 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch to spare over here where the range goes in. It's absolutely perfect. So time to cut the countertop. We have a single basin sink here that I snagged off of Amazon. Gonna do something a little different this time. Ordinarily I have a set that I go to from, say, a Home Depot or something, but we're gonna go to Amazon this time and see how it works. And then maybe we can get this microwave hung. Here we go. I can't call it a painless install. Every time I put one of these in, it is fraught with frustration, but it's in. These have a bracket that goes along the back on the bottom. That's the main support to the wall. And then up here in the top, you've got to cut a hole for not only the cord, which is about 2 inches around a hole, but you've got to cut holes for the 2 supports that go up here. Locating those as just 3/8 of an inch holes, they're tiny. That is always a challenge. The instructions for this show off the wall. You measure this far. If you got this size cabinets, you measure that far. The reality is when your walls aren't perfectly square because the house is 60 years old, you end up just measuring it out and doing your best. But look, it's in, and it works. After the microwave was up, it was time to return to the countertops. And so the right piece was cut down to size, and as you can see, the sink basin cutout was completed, which fits great. After that, it was time to look into putting some handles on these cabinets. This is always a difficult thing as well. One mismeasurement and you've got a hole in the front of your cabinets. We're going with a standard 3-inch space pull. So these 2 screws are 3 inches apart. And when you drill these holes, you want to drill a small hole and then a larger hole to fit it so that you have a little room for error. I mark each of those on tape, and then you can see here 2 different drill bits and 2 different drills to simplify the process. Marking those holes, it's about 1 inch from one side and 3 inches from the bottom and 6 inches from the bottom. And then I gauge it each time. I hold that up each time to make sure it's right because I want these to align really well. Anything that's off will catch your eye. You can see I've got a couple of them done. Let's continue the work. As you can see here, about 3 inches from the bottom and about 6 inches from the bottom. But then when it comes to the higher cabinets, I go for 2 and 5. The reason being that it's a perspective thing, but also if you're reaching for a cabinet, 1 inch might make the difference depending on how long your reach is. If you're reaching over the fridge, you might not make it. This is pretty exciting. From the floor, you can see that the cabinet poles are in. Up top, underneath. Got a couple here on the sink cabinet. This corner's not going to get them because if I put them on, these pieces are going to hit. And so these will be just, you'll have to grab them from the top or from the bottom. It'll be fine. However, now I'm on to the drawers, and there's a couple ways you can do the drawers. This one will be centered no matter what, but these others, there's a lip at the top of them that's about 3 fingers worth of width to make it just a pull on the cabinet door itself. The drawer is attached lower. There's a couple ways to do this. You can center it on each one, or you can put it near the top. And I actually like it near the top because of the bend, right? When you're up here, it's easy to grab this handle, but these handles here, now you're getting down further and further. And at this point, 6 inches makes a difference. Now you're almost down to the floor if you go to the middle of the cabinet. And so I'm gonna mount them up a little bit higher just for easier pull. This will be the last holes. So far, no major issues. Everything went on straight and aligned. A quick side note here. As I was putting these in, I was reminded that the screws are different depths. Notice most of the time we're drilling through just this bit, but on drawers especially, you may end up having to go through both. So when you drill through this, you need different screws. So if you ever find yourself installing your own cabinet hardware, you've got the handles themselves, but then there's screws of multiple lengths. So notice here, these are really long. And then up here, I've got another bag of standard size. Now these both came with the handles. These will work for most installations, but when you need these longer ones, here's an interesting thing. Notice all the cut points, and you can just use a standard cutter of some kind to get through this. Now for me, that's this guy. I'm using my electrical cutter and it just goes right through it. By the way, this set of hardware we're using is from Amazon. I found that buying it in bulk has allowed us to do 3 different cabinet sets in 1 box worth of hardware. And the price was very close to what it would have been to do 1. So buying in bulk saves if you're going to do this more than once or you have a lot of cabinets. And then the different size screws and the way to cut them off is really important, because if you just stick this in, this is really long and it will actually break the handle because it will go in too far and that will snap it apart. So just a little tip, if you're doing kitchen cabinet drilling at all and you've got some extra hardware that doesn't seem like it's going to fit, that would be why. And here are the handles on the drawers, the final result. What do you think? The kitchen is now close to usable. We've got to connect the sink and get the faucet in. We've got to connect the dishwasher up. And of course, we're missing floors, but we are getting close.